inventory is crazy low. So that creates a lot of competition. Competition from the standpoint of escalation clauses and bidding higher than what the home is listed for. So from our end of the world, what do we do when it's above list price and maybe it doesn't come in value? The appraisal doesn't come in at value. What can you talk about our process and how that works?
For the rebuttal process, that is something that mortgage lender handles. Speaking in the terms of a purchase that has realtors on the transaction, if an appraisal comes in lower than the purchase price, one thing to remember is the client of that appraisal is the mortgage company. So we're the client. So it's a tool for us as part of the evaluation process to approve the loan for the purchase. So it's up to us to submit the rebuttal process to the appraiser. So first we start with the buyer. Is the buyer in agreement that we will pursue a rebuttal? So rebuttal is really a dispute of the value. We can only dispute it with facts, right? So what we do is we have a rebuttal form. Typically, we contact both realtors. We coordinate with them. So there's a partnership with the listing agent and the buyer's agent. If everyone's in agreement, we will submit a rebuttal. We actually have our own tools as well. So the loan officers have access to the staff at John Adams Mortgage, and most companies have this, where we have our own evaluation tools as well. So we formulate a rebuttal. We try to get relevant comps. It could be and a lot of realtors just have a tremendous amount of knowledge. Obviously, they have local knowledge. Even if our appraisers, and all of our appraisers are local, by the way, they will submit information as to why they think a certain comp, a sold comp, should have been used rather than the ones on the report. So we will submit alternative comps for the appraiser to use, and we expect the appraiser to either accept that comp or comment as far as why it's not being used. Sometimes the comparables used, everyone's in agreement with the comparables, especially when there are a few comparables around, and then we're just talking about adjustments. Sometimes the condition of the home, and Giles brought that up, could be pegged maybe inferior or superior to the comps, and the rebuttal says we think it's the same condition and here's why. So there's a lot of elements that go into it. And the rebuttal process, typically it depends on the workload of the appraiser. As Giles mentioned, they are very busy right now. In a normal market, we're submitting a rebuttal hopefully in 24 hours, and we'll get it back in 24 to 48 hours. That's been extended a little bit because of the high volume. But that's the process, is the mortgage lender's responsible to submit that rebuttal to the appraisal company. The appraisal company then digests that information and they turn around with a response. They typically either change the appraisal, they'll revise it. Sometimes the value goes up a little bit. Sometimes it goes substantially up, and they agree with information, especially if there's new information that came in that wasn't there. Mistakes sometimes happen. And then there's also where the comments on the appraisal are addressing each comp or adjustment, why it is the way it is, and the value stands as is. When that happens, it's considered, some people say the rebuttal failed. I don't consider it failed, as you have more information where the buyer and seller can renegotiate or pay the price as is. But sometimes that's a tool for the meeting of the minds, just by seeing the comments, and you get more information. So I think a rebuttal it's a really healthy thing, as long as the buyer and the realtors all agree to do that. So that's in a nutshell the rebuttal process. And I'm sure Giles has some comments from his perspective when he receives a rebuttal from a lender, how it goes on their end.
But before Giles answers that, I want to want to ask. We got a good question in the comments section, and I'll kind of summarize it. But so Giles, take us through, especially again in a fast moving market above list price. What are the most important things an appraiser is going to look at? Is it geography first? Is it proximity? Is it most recent sale? What are in order? What are the things that appraisers will look for to assist themselves in getting the best price possible?
I would say yes to all of those. They're all equally important, and we have to. It's not as simple as one thing is more important than the other, because each market is different. Sometimes location, sometimes it's the school district that is the most important thing. Sometimes the school district's the third most important thing. That's really where the appraiser and the realtor will have to agree on what is the typical buyer looking for. And as an appraiser, if I know my market, and Dave said all of our appraisers are local, so we're working those same markets every single day. So location, I would say, is the most important thing. I have to understand my location. And most homes conform to their neighborhood, right? So it's location, then how they conform. I'm trying to, especially in this market, I want a model match that's next door, that just sold yesterday. That's really what I want, but that doesn't happen very often. And then you throw in the variables. So location, time are the most important factors. And then I'm trying to balance everything else out. But if I have that unique home, like I said, ranch homes, they're in the highest demand. They turn over the least. So we have less comps. So I have this, I have the ranch. I'm going to go back in time further to make sure I have ranch sales. Because if I use bungalows that just sold yesterday and next door, no one's going to believe that appraisal report, right? So then I have to expand back in time to find those ranch homes. So if I have to go back 8 months, then I have to figure out, how do I account for those 8 months? I have to do the market analysis. I might have to use a couple bungalows that just occurred and try to figure out how that impacted the value of the subject property. So it's juggling all of those items, and we have to juggle them all. But to say, I guess the easiest is location is the most important.
Okay, and so using that 6 month mark, I think most of us feel that's the timetable of trying to find comps within those last 6 months. But what I think I'm hearing you say, and it's okay on the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA side, is we can go back up to 12 months. We can go in rural areas, maybe 18 months to really find that best comp. Is that fair to say?
So I'm going to start with yesterday, then I'm going to go 3 months, I'm going to go 6 months, I'm going to go 12 months, I'm going to go 18 months, because I'm trying to find the best comp. What is the best substitute for the property? So if I can find that model match, the exact same home or as close to it, I'm going to look for that. Like, for example, if I can find the subject property sold 18 months ago, and I know it sold for $350,000 18 months ago, that's my best comp, right? I know that, I look at that, I look at when that property sold, it was a fair market sale. I look at the condition at the time. That's where I'm starting from and moving forward based on the market conditions. So I'm looking, there's no restrictions, but I want to be most proximate. I want to make sure I have the right market area. I want to be able to capture the recent market. And then I want to get the property that has the most similar combination of features, right? Because that's how we're looking at comps. It's not that one piece doesn't make it. I have to look at overall all 10 pieces that make up that property and find the comps that have the matching 10 characteristics.
So it's really like a puzzle. It's an opinion of value first and foremost. Is definitely, as everybody can hear today, it's not an exact science. Definitely an opinion of value. And on the realtor side and the appraiser side, it's you're putting together a puzzle and trying to find the best matches with all the things that go into it.